You mentioned confidence in the institutions this time round as compared to the 2007-2008 scenario. But there has been a political onslaught on the institutions, on the judiciary, on the IEBC, from both sides of the political divide.
And the institutions are standing up to the politicians. And I think that's the most important thing, because what you want in institutions is that independence and integrity. And the fact of the matter is the respect for the institutions were there because no one could get around them. Right? Whether you, I mean, before when the August 8th, the IEBC declared Uhuru Kenyatta the president, Raila Odinga was denouncing the courts and saying he had already been cheated in 2013 and he wasn't going back to the courts this time. So he was denouncing the courts. And Uhuru was saying, you know, if you take a petition, the courts will decide. The rule of law has to be respected. When the judgment was made against Uhuru, then he had an outlash against the courts. And the judgment, he said he respected the rule of law and he respected the courts, but he thought it was a stupid decision effectively. But that's what politicians do. The point is the institution is respected. That's the most important thing.
I know you co-edited a book on preventing violence.
In elections.
In elections
yes.
in Africa.
Yes.
So Kenya finds itself in a very interesting position as we speak, in that the Supreme Court validated President Uhuru Kenyatta's win from October 26th, but it did invalidate the August 8th win. We've had the opposition leader refuse to recognize the October 26th election. What is it that we can borrow from other setups, or what is it that we can do, or what's your advice on how best to deal with the situation?
Well, I think it's very clear that no one should lose their life to be able to exercise their right to vote for their leadership. And it's very unfortunate because the way we code political violence during elections is if one person dies related to political violence, you're put into that category of having a violent election. And in Kenya, now this recent election is now putting it back in that category again. So that's very unfortunate. But I think that what's very encouraging is that Kenya's institutions are working. The Supreme Court, the courts have made decisions all along this election process, not just about the outcome of the August 8th election, but even before that, there are many different judgments. And when you look at the political debate, people reference the Constitution. And the difference in 2007 and 2008 was no one had confidence in any of the institutions, whether it was the Electoral Commission, the courts, or anything. There was no mediating force. Whereas in this election, the Constitution was the common denominator. And whether you believed that someone was acting according to the Constitution or against the Constitution became the frame for having the debate and the discussion. So I think that's very positive. What Kenya has to be concerned about is that you have to build that inclusive. I think Kenya's institutions are better than they were. The political leadership is political leadership. You know, whenever you're in a hot contest about running a country, it gets nasty. And I don't know anywhere in the world where that isn't the case. But I think that there needs to be a sense of the sort of the national identity question is really what needs to be fundamentally worked on next.